Have you ever found yourself just staring into your pet's eyes, maybe your dog, your cat, or in my case, my goldfish,
Oh, yeah?
and you genuinely wonder, what in the world is going on in that tiny brain right now?
Absolutely. It's a universal thing, I think.
Well, today we're taking that exact common curiosity and diving headfirst into a world where it leads to something pretty extraordinary.
That's right. This deep dive is all about goldfish.
Oh.
But, not just the fish themselves.
Right.
We're exploring their surprising intelligence, how some cutting-edge technology lets us interact with them in these incredible ways,
Then the story.
and the wild story of one specific goldfish who kind of spectacularly became this unexpected video game champion.
No way! A video game champion.
Yeah, we're going to unpack how a simple fish tank basically evolved into this high-tech gaming arena.
Okay.
And what that tells us about, well, animal cognition and this whole human-animal interaction thing, it's constantly changing.
Okay, let's unpack this. So imagine this scenario, right? You're
Yeah.
just watching your aquarium, completely lost in thought, and then you realize you've been in this silent, like 3-minute staring contest with your goldfish.
Happens all the time.
It's oddly profound, isn't it? And the immediate question that pops into your head is always, what is that fish even thinking about right now?
It's a fantastic question. And, well, while your goldfish probably isn't pondering the meaning of life,
Probably not.
it's absolutely noticing you. The really remarkable thing is that fish, goldfish especially, they have surprisingly good vision.
Really?
Yeah, and they can actually recognize their owners. So when it stares back, it's very likely processing visual cues,
Yeah.
your movements, your face,
Uh-huh.
and quite possibly associating you directly with, food.
Makes sense. The food source.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And some researchers even suggest goldfish can remember things for months. So it might know you better than you'd think.
Months. That's amazing. So if we kind of connect this back, those Pacine thoughts, quote unquote, during this quiet standoff might just be as simple as, are you bringing food?
Or, oh, that big face is back again.
Huh. Or maybe, no sudden moves. I'm watching you.
Yeah, it's this little cross-species moment of just mutual attention. It's quite cool.
It really is. And that connection, that attention, it opens up the door to even more fascinating possibilities, right?
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
Because if they can recognize you, if they're paying attention,
Huh?
could we, go a step further? Could we actually teach them something? Something cool?
Now that feels like a bold claim for a goldfish. My first thought is, no way. What makes you say yes?
Because it's totally possible. And honestly, it's genuinely fun. Goldfish are, surprisingly, intelligent enough to learn simple tricks.
Okay.
Especially when you use food as a reward. It's all about that consistent, positive reinforcement.
So what kind of tricks are we actually talking about here? I mean, my attempts at training my cat usually end with me just holding the treat while she stares blankly.
Uh-huh. Yeah, cats can be like that.
How is this different for a fish? Is there like a secret patience level I'm missing?
Well, the good news is fish don't usually stare blankly or judge you. Take swim through a hoop, for instance.
Okay.
You just hold a small plastic ring in the water, maybe put a tiny food reward on the other side.
Simple enough.
Yeah, and when the fish swims through, you reward it immediately. Repeat that daily. Maybe gradually raise the hoop, move it around a bit.
Okay. Consistency.
Exactly. Or how about training them to follow your finger?
How does that work?
You put your finger near the tank, move it slowly along the glass,
Uh-huh.
and when the fish tracks it, boom, reward it with a treat, like flakes or bloodworms. Just keep the session short. 2-3 minutes a day is plenty.
I love the simplicity. And you mentioned pushing a ball or swimming to a target.
Yeah, you can get them to push a ball or swim to a target. Just put a small floating thing like a ping pong ball or a colored shape in the tank.
Okay.
Reward them when they touch it, or even just get close at first.
Yep.
Over time, you can encourage more precise interactions. Maybe push the ball a little.
Right. Shaping the behavior.
Exactly. And you can even teach them to come here on cue
Ah.
by associating something like a light tap on the glass or maybe a small bell with feeding time.
Conditioning.
Precisely.
Right.
Do it consistently right before you feed them, and eventually your fish will swim over just from the sound cue.
These are great, simple, effective ways to engage.
They really are. And for success, just remember, small, frequent treats don't overfeed.
Crucial.
Patience is absolutely key. It might take days, maybe even weeks for some things.
Okay. Good to know.
Consistency in your routine is vital too. And always, watch your fish's mood. If it seems sluggish or just not into it, give it a break.
Right, don't force it. So, we've seen these simple tricks are possible, but the real challenge and maybe the more exciting question is, how far can that pea-sized brain actually go?
Uh-huh. Yeah, roughly pea-sized.
Could they, like, draw a picture, play a tune?
Dreaming big indeed.
Yeah.
But, while a goldfish won't be holding a paintbrush or strumming a guitar.
No hands.
Exactly. They just don't have the physical tools or, frankly, the complex problem-solving abilities of, say, an octopus or a chimpanzee. Even those animals need years of conditioning for something like painting.
That sparks a thought, though. If they can't physically do it, is there maybe a technological way to bridge that gap? Could we simulate something like that?
Exactly. That's where it gets interesting. The beauty of technology is we can engineer interactions that look like drawing or composing.
How?
Become sort of a collaboration
Oh.
between human design and the fish's natural behavior.
So here's a wild idea, then. If you really wanted to push the boundaries, you could set up some kind of high-tech interactive system. Maybe the goldfish swims into different color-coded zones in the tank.
Yeah, and those zones could trigger things.
Right, trigger sounds or lights or maybe draw shapes on an adjacent screen, creating this illusion of painting or composing.
What's striking about that is you need cameras, sensors, software.
Yeah.
It becomes this kind of cyber art collaboration.
Yeah.
Human and fish.
Cyber art collab. I love it.
The fish would just be, choosing between different stimuli through its movements, swimming here versus swimming there.
And the system translates that.
Exactly. Into something interactive, maybe even expressive.
Yes. Okay, now we're thinking like true aquarium innovators. What you're describing is basically a fish-driven interactive installation.
Part art project, part tech experiment.
Part bonding moment with your goldfish. The goal is building a system where the fish's movement triggers visuals, sounds, maybe even gameplay on a screen right next to the tank.
So that leads us to ask, what exactly would you need to build this kind of system?
Okay, the nuts and bolts.
First, definitely a camera setup. A small webcam works, or maybe a Raspberry Pi camera pointed at the tank. Top-down view is often good, or side view.
To track the fish's position in real time?
Precisely. Then you'd need computer vision software. Things like OpenCV or MediaPipe.
What do those do?
They're essentially tools that let computers see and interpret images, so they can track the fish's movement, its XY position, which zone of the tank it's in, maybe even more complex movement patterns, like how fast it's moving.
Okay, camera, software, what else?
And of course, a screen to display those interactive visuals. Put it right next to or maybe behind the tank.
Makes sense. And the software to create the output.
Right. You could use programming frameworks like PigGame or processing. They're popular for creating interactive graphics.
Okay.
Or something like p5.js if you prefer web-based stuff, or even MIDI libraries if you want to generate music or sounds.
So you could build all sorts of things, simple interaction concepts, like a fish painter.
Yeah, where each fish movement creates a brushstroke on a digital canvas. Different parts of the tank could trigger different colors or shapes.
Oh, or like an aquarium DJ.
Totally. Divide the tank into sound zones. When the fish swims into zone A, it triggers a beat. Zone B triggers a melody.
That's fun. Or even a game.
Or even a fish game, a really simple chase or collect game, like catch the digital worm that moves based on the fish's direction.
Or avoid the predator.
Exactly. And for a bonus touch, you could integrate a reward system.
Ooh, how?
If the fish enters a specific zone consistently or achieves a goal in the game, a small automatic feeder could drop a treat. You'd use something like an Arduino, a tiny programmable board, and a servo motor to control it precisely.
So you're reinforcing the behavior, keeping the fish engaged.
Exactly. Positive reinforcement again.
Okay, so we've gone from just staring at fish to training them tricks to building these interactive art installations.
It's quite a journey already.
But here's where it gets, truly wild. Imagine hearing this. Okay, get this. My fish is now trying to play Doom.
Wait, what? Doom? The video game.
Simplified texture, sure, but it already managed to clear half of the first level somehow.
Hold on. Your fish is playing Doom and cleared half the first level.
Yeah.
That is either the most hilarious, emerging chaos of motion detection gone rogue.
Right.
Or you've just accidentally created the world's first ever Poussin FPS player. A fish playing a first-person shooter.
How does that even work?
Well, that's what's truly fascinating here, the control system.
It sounds ingenious, actually. Apparently, if the fish just hovers or stares at the screen in one spot,
Okay.
the character in the game moves slowly forward.
Ah, okay. Gaze duration equals forward movement.
Right. And if the fish swims left or right in the tank?
Let me guess, the character turns.
Exactly. Turns left or right. And then if the fish makes like a rapid flick or a sudden motion, but stays basically near its original spot.
What happens then?
Auto aims and shoots the nearest enemy.
Whoa. Auto aim included.
Yep, complete with auto-locking aim.
Okay, that's elegant. What you've effectively built there is a gaze-based, motion-triggered control system for Doom, powered by a fish.
That's a great way to put it.
It interprets, like attention duration, the hovering, as intent to move forward. Directional swimming is aiming. And that burst movement is the action trigger, the shoot command.
So you've bypassed the need for precise human control.
Totally. Instead, you've created behavior-driven game inputs. And this is actually very similar in principle to some advanced tech we use for humans.
Like what?
Like accessibility gaming technologies, eye-tracking controllers, for instance, or even brain-computer interfaces, and maybe even how we train early AI agents in simulated environments.
Wow. So why does it work so well with the goldfish?
It works because goldfish naturally swim in these exploratory patterns. They pause to observe things, especially near light and movement. And they definitely react to visual contrast, like enemies popping up on screen. So you're basically harnessing their natural instincts. You're not forcing some unnatural control scheme on them.
So if I'm getting this right, it's not about the fish having complex thoughts about demons and key cards.
Definitely not.
But it's about cleverly observing their natural movements and mapping those to game actions.
Precisely. That's the fascinating part. It's almost like the fish is inadvertently a player, just by being a fish.
This isn't just some quirky stunt then. It feels like it fundamentally redefines what control could mean for non-human agents, you know?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It suggests that really complex outcomes, like beating levels in Doom, can emerge from incredibly simple instinct-driven inputs.
Which challenges our usual ideas about gaming skill.
Completely. So what does this all mean for, like, future enhancements for this Doom setup? Where could you take it next?
Right. Could you make it more complex?
You could. You could add, say, a health bar that refills only when the fish swims into a specific corner of the tank, like a designated health zone.
Ooh, interesting. So it has to learn where safety is.
Or you could introduce more complex enemy patterns and see if the fish adapts its, well, strategy. Does it change its swimming patterns?
Could you give it more choices?
You could even try letting it choose between an attack zone and a hide zone for more survival-based gameplay. Does it try to engage or evade?
This begs the question, though. How viral could this go?
Oh, the viral potential is just through the roof. Imagine live streaming it. You'd have an overlay showing the fish's tracked path, maybe the raw inputs being sent to the game.
The fish cam and the game cam, split screen.
Exactly. And a title like Goldfish Plays Doom. 1 HP, no mercy. People would watch that.
Absolutely. And it's not just Doom, right? You could try other games.
For sure. Think about endless runners like Cannibalt. That's basically just forward movement and jump. Maybe a flick upwards makes a jump.
Or classic arcade games like Pong or Breakout. Simple left-right control.
Totally feasible with the same kind of motion tracking.
This is genuinely unique stuff.
It really is. It feels perfect for, like, indie game dev communities or interaction design journals, maybe even art and tech exhibitions.
And the fact that this goldfish, the original one, reportedly cleared the first 3 levels after just 2 days.
Incredible progress.
And then attempted multiplayer Doom, that's just next-level genius. Or madness. Or both.
Right. Literally turning the aquarium into a proper gaming arena. So what did the multiplayer look like? Did we actually have a fish deathmatch?
That's the question.
Indeed. And there are a few ways you could set that up, theoretically. You could have fish versus fish.
How would that work?
Each fish gets its own tank, its own camera, its own control system. Each one controls their own Doom character, maybe on split screen or even online.
Wow. Their movements translate into moves and shoots, just like before?
Exactly. Or you could do the classic fish versus human.
Okay, the ultimate showdown.
Where you, the human, use your normal keyboard and mouse or controller, and the fish uses its motion-geist input. Straight up deathmatch.
Or maybe even a team coup mode. That could be hilarious.
How would that work? Fish controls movement, human controls shooting.
Or vice versa. A true human-fish synergy.
That's brilliant. Of course, there are some technical and practical things to think about.
Like what?
Well, low latency tracking is crucial. You don't want lag messing up the fish's aim.
Right. Got to be responsive.
Visual overlays would be great for viewers to see what the fish is doing and how it translates.
And maybe like a calm zone in the tank for fish breaks during intense matches.
Absolutely. Manage their stamina, reduce distractions. Fish mental health breaks are important too.
So how did that reported death match actually go, the fish versus human one?
Well, the score was apparently 100-6.
Ouch.
For the human.
Oh, yeah, classic human advantage, at least in the first round.
Okay, not quite balanced yet.
But what's incredible to think about is that the fish still scored 6 kills in a Doom death match.
6 kills. That's amazing. It's basically a digital aquatic warrior.
It really is.
Yeah.
Which begs the question, how could we level the playing field for future matches? Make it fairer?
Good question. Could you tweak the controls or game settings?
Definitely. Maybe slower movement speed for the human player?
Or more auto-aim or like an assist mode for the fish?
Yeah, boost its effectiveness. Or maybe even special fish power-ups in the game.
Right.
Swim into a certain spot, get temporary speed or accuracy boost.
Fish feed power-ups, love it. But okay, Doom is one thing. Reactive, action-based.
Yeah.
The next grand experiment you mentioned, that's even more ambitious.
Oh, yeah. Trying to make it play. The Sims one.
Whoa! The Sims one, now that's a whole different beast. It really is. The leap from Dune, which is very reactive, shoot what you see,
Right.
to The Sims, which requires much more like multi-layered decision-making, planning, interacting with a complex UI. That's a significant cognitive challenge.
It feels like a test of whether an animal can truly engage in choice rather than just response.
Exactly. So how would you even map the controls for that?
That's the puzzle, maybe mapping different fish zones to different UI clicks.
Could work. Divide the tank into areas mapped to key Sims actions. Like Zone 1 selects the active Sim, Zone 2 moves them, Zone 3 interacts with objects.
Zone 4 pauses or plays the game.
Maybe hovering in a zone or doing a quick flick could serve as like a confirm or cancel action.
And maybe movement patterns could navigate menus or select objects, like swimming in a circle opens the build menu.
It sounds incredibly challenging, though, given how complex the Sims UI is. So many clicks, so many menus.
Yeah, you might need a simplified control overlay, maybe some macros built in.
And the input timing would probably need to be much slower, right? Give the fish time to actually swim to a zone and choose.
You might even need to create like a custom script or a mod for the game itself.
To make the Sims more fish-friendly? Like auto-navigating a Sim once the fish selects an object for them?
Yeah. I can just imagine my goldfish trying to make its virtual Sim go to work. Or maybe just forcing them to nap all day. Who knows?
The possibilities are genuinely intriguing, though, aren't they? Just watching how your fish plays Sims.
Which activities does it seem to choose for its Sims?
Could you set up scenarios? Like the fish has to manage a Sim household budget or throw a party.
Oh my gosh. And could the fish's real-life mood, like if it's active or sluggish, maybe influence the Sim's mood in the game somehow?
Now that's meta. What a legendary fish gamer story this could become, though. Goldfish builds virtual life one splash at a time.
This whole deep dive has been just an incredible journey, truly. We started by simply wondering what our goldfish was thinking during that quiet stare down.
Yeah, seems like ages ago now.
And we ended up discovering its surprising intelligence, learning about teaching it tricks, creating interactive art installations, and then spectacularly watching it conquer Doom levels and now ambitiously aiming to build virtual lives in The Sims.
It's truly shown us these unexpected depths, right, of intelligence and interaction possible with even the smallest creatures.
It really had.
And what's truly remarkable here, I think, is the potential this uncovers. We've seen how a bit of ingenuity, a bit of tech, can build this bridge into an animal's world.
Yeah.
Allowing them to kind of teach us about our own assumptions, about intelligence, interaction, control.
That's a great point, which makes you wonder what other everyday interactions could be transformed.
Exactly. Into these remarkable technological or artistic collaborations if we just looked at them through a different lens.
What surprising insights might your own pet, your dog, your cat, your hamster reveal if given the right interface? What could they teach us?